Gran Turismo 7, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Resident Evil 8, Demon's Souls Remake, and Horizon 2. Sony came out firing on all cylinders during this reveal event, and I'm super excited to tell you about it. Now, I've always been a gamer first and foremost. I've never picked a side during the console wars. I've always had an Xbox, a Nintendo, GameCube, PlayStation 2, whatever. It's going to be super hard for me not to Sony fanboy out over all these games, but I'm going to tell you what I think are the coolest looking games from the event. Let's get into it. Hi, welcome to Pixel Codex. My name is Remington Keller. I'm going to help you rediscover your childhood love of gaming, learn about all the games you missed out over the years, and find out the best way to play them today. It felt like Sony was bringing hit after hit after hit with this event. Honestly, for a while, I didn't know when they were going to bring this out, because first E3 got canceled, then Microsoft had an event that honestly was pretty lackluster. They showed some cool games, but compared to this, Sony just blew them away. So as I said, I'm going to get into what I thought were the coolest games of the show, and I'm going to do them in order, ending with what I think's the best. So the first thing they announced was Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming out to the PS5. It's going to be an enhanced and expanded edition, and honestly, I'm glad I waited this long. Originally it was coming out on PlayStation 3, and I held off on it, and then all of a sudden they announced it for PS4, and I got the game, and honestly I've never got around to playing that one either. Now that they announced it on PlayStation 5, I'm just gonna wait again. Even though I missed out on it all these years, I kind of get rewarded now, and I get to catch up with what should hopefully be the best version. I'm expecting it to have upscaled graphics of 4K, better effects, and 60 frames per second consistently. The next game that they showed was called Project Athia. Now this is by Square Enix, and it's developed by Luminous Studio, and if you know who they are, after Final Fantasy 15, a bunch of the developers split off and they formed this new studio, and this is the first game by them. It was a super short trailer, but it looked awesome. You play as this girl, I guess she's a wizard because she's doing spells, summoning vines and trees and stuff, and there's always cool giant monsters. At the end there's this huge fire-breathing dragon. It looked pretty sick, so I'm super excited to see how it turns out. So the next game is Destruction All-Stars. This is kind of like a Twisted Metal car combat game, but with the crazy twist of you can jump out of your car and run alongside it. It was just a really well done trailer, so who knows how the game's actually going to be, but it looks crazy. Like you're driving in your car, you jump out, this girl's running alongside, cars are swerving past her, like flying overhead. You can jump onto cars, ride them around as they're like bashing into each other. It looked really awesome. I've always been a huge fan of car combat games. Twisted Metal, Vigilante 8. Twisted Metal Black was one of the sickest games on PlayStation 2, and they haven't really had a good car combat game in a while, so hopefully it turns out good, but from the trailer alone, it looked crazy. Now, the next game that looked really cool was Hitman 3. Now, if you haven't played the first two or any of the previous ones, this one looks to take everything they had before and just expand it. It was hard to tell if it was actually like a cutscene or gameplay. Hitman 47 is running through the woods, there's guys trying to kill him, and then they showed a quick glance of some actual gameplay from Dubai where he's like scaling a building on the outside from like Mission Impossible. It looks so awesome, and I can't wait to play it. Honestly, I haven't played Hitman in a few games, so I need to catch up on the first two. Now, the next game was by Housemarque. If you don't know who they are, they did Super Stardust HD, they did Resogun, Dead Nation, a whole bunch of kind of top-down twin-stick shooter type games, and their newest game is called Returnal. It looked kind of like a Groundhog Day or Live Die Repeat third-person shooter, and it had these like H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu elements. It looks super interesting, and I definitely want to check it out. It's got that constant reversal of time where the main character, she does something, it screws it up, changes the environment, she's got to do it again, and it keeps changing and getting worse and worse. Now, I'm a huge fan of like horror, H.P. Lovecraft type stuff, so to combine that into a third-person shooting, that's right up my alley. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Now, back in the day, I was always a bigger fan of Jak and Daxter, but I still love Ratchet and Clank. And the new one, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, looked honestly like it had the craziest gameplay out of everything I saw. You're basically jumping through these portals or rifts in time. So Ratchet will be flying through the air, and all of a sudden a rift opens and you jump through it. You're in prehistoric time. There's these crazy bugs and dinosaurs, and then he jumps through and you're in the future, and you just keep going and going. And the gameplay is these rifts start forming around. So you use these portals to kind of teleport yourself around and get better vantage points on the enemies. But as you're doing that and running around, these portals open. So a Kraken's arm will come ripping through an office building and pull enemies days away. It looks honestly crazy. It looked like that Ratchet & Clank gameplay you know and love, but taken to a whole new level. And honestly, I can't wait to play it. Insomniac was the MVP of this event. First they had the crazy Ratchet & Clank demo, and then they announced Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, the original Spider-Man on PS4 was one of the craziest superhero games ever, and the new one looks incredible. The graphics are sick. It shows Spider-Man swinging around the city, like jumping off cars. You know, the standard Spider-Man gameplay just taken to a whole new level. And it's not a remake of the original one. It's not a sequel. It's more of a side story, kind of like Uncharted Lost Legacy. I'm always a fan of anything Spider-Man, and I'm definitely going to buy this as soon as it comes out. I remember seeing this a while ago. I don't know if it was last E3 or maybe Gamescom, but it's Tokyo Ghostwire. And this is made by Tango Gameworks. So if you don't know who Tango Gameworks were, Shinji Mikami, the guy who made Resident Evil, after Resident Evil 4, he split off from Capcom and he made this game Shadows of the Damned, which was sick if you never played it, with Grasshopper on PS3 and Xbox. And then he formed this company called Tango Gameworks. Now, Tango Gameworks, they made the Evil Within 2, and Ghostwire Tokyo is their new game. It looks kind of like a first-person shooter, but you're shooting off spells, you're fighting all these crazy monsters. It reminded me a lot, if you're an anime fan, from Gantz Zero, where they're going through Tokyo and there's all these crazy creatures running around, and it just looks crazy. I'm super excited for it. I love everything Shinji Mikami's ever done, so can't wait for this. The next game's by Capcom. It's called Pragmata. So it starts out in Times Square, and the main character looks like a combination of the guy from Dead Space mixed with the armor from Anthem. So you're this astronaut guy in Times Square, and he sees this girl who's talking like a robotic cat, and all of a sudden this giant satellite comes like barreling down from the sky. So he jumps into the air, and the girl can control robots somehow, and she like teleports you up, and then all of a sudden they fly through the air and end up on the moon. I had no idea what was going on, but the graphics are awesome, the action looked crazy, and I really want to find out more. So next we have another game from Capcom, and honestly this was a huge shock to me. It starts out with this girl telling kind of a fairy tale, and it shows a camera going through the woods. Honestly, I thought this was a game based on the movie The Witch. It shows all these crazy characters, like creepy women, a cult type village, like blood, some sacrifice rituals, all sorts of craziness. And then all of a sudden, like, it shows a werewolf and these tentacles pull a guy through the floor. It looked nuts. And then all of a sudden on the screen pops up, says The Village, and then the first few letters turn to the Roman numeral 8, and you find out Resident Evil 8. So I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil. I played it since the very original on the PlayStation, played every one since then, and I can't wait to play this one. The graphics look crazy. I was a huge fan of The Witch, and pretty much anything with like cult, mystery, rituals, I'm there. So can't wait to play this. Now we're down to the top 2 best games of the show. And I actually had this spoiled for me last week, but it didn't matter. If you don't know who Bluepoint is, they do the best remasters in the business. They did the Metal Gear Solid collection on PlayStation 3, and they just did the remake of Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation 4. It was fantastic. So you know if Bluepoint's doing it, it's gonna be good. It pops up, at first you don't know what's going on, and it took me a while to actually realize what game this was. As soon as they show the giant knight, I knew, and it's a remake of Demon's Souls. If you never played Demon's Souls, it's basically the predecessor to the whole Dark Souls franchise. So originally, on the PlayStation 3, they brought out Demon's Souls. From there, it got produced by Namco, and it turned into the Dark Souls franchise, and it went everything to Bloodborne, Sekiro. So if you play those games, you know what this is, but Demon's Souls, at the time, there was nothing else like it. I remember when it first came out, the graphics were amazing, and honestly, I didn't play the game that hard since Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox. Everyone knows what Dark Souls is now in the gameplay. It's like Zelda, but super hard and unforgiving. You have to keep playing over and over again to kind of progress bit by bit. But at the time, there wasn't anything like it. And it has an amazing environment, crazy looking creatures. Even the dragon looks crazy. Like every bad guy has a unique spin on things that came before. It's kind of a dark fantasy Zelda. And if you've never played the original, the last boss is one of the cheapest and most frustrating abilities ever, where they grab you and he picks you up and he takes away your level. So if you're level 50, dropped down to 49. Every time he catches with it, drops you down a level, and it auto saves, so you're out of luck. Honestly, before I beat him, I must have dropped like 12 levels, so the fight just gets permanently harder and harder. It's super unforgiving, but when you finally beat him, I think I got the biggest sense of accomplishment I've ever got from any video game. And finally, we're on the best game of the show, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn 2, or as it's called, Horizon Forbidden West. This game is by far the best graphics I've ever seen. The first Horizon's incredible. It's one of the best open world games ever. This one looks like it takes it and brings it to a whole new level. I can't stress enough how good these graphics look. It's by far the best looking game I've ever seen. So if they take that baseline and just expand on the original, I'll be happy. If you never played the first Horizon Zero Dawn, you play as this girl who has to hunt robotic dinosaurs, and yeah, that's as cool as it sounds. So the sequel looks like that times 10, and honestly, I'm so pumped for it to come out. So there you have it. Those are what I thought were the best games from the PlayStation 5 reveal event. Let me know down in the comments what you thought were the best games of the show and what you can't wait to play at the end of this year and all throughout 2021. If you want to see more, check out this video up here for the best Father's Day gifts for gamer dads. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and have a good one.